Hello there, and welcome to the 6th episode of Why You're Bad. As we talked about lineups in the last episode, I thought it would be a good idea to show you how to use the tanks you decided to bring in your games. Right now in War Thunder, there are 6 types of ground vehicles. My aim is to show you, or at least try, how to play each of them in the best possible manner. So let's get ready. Why You're Bad number 6. You don't know your role. As I just mentioned, there are 6 types of tanks. Light tanks, medium tanks, heavy tanks, TDs or also called SPGs, SPAAs, and finally MBTs. In this video I'll try to teach you how to play each type to the best of its potential, giving you some headlines about the playstyle of each kind. Light tanks. Light tanks are usually small vehicles with very little armor, decent firepower, but first and foremost, tanks that are mobile. Think of the American M41 Walker Bulldog, the French AMX-13 or the Italian R3FA. These tanks are designed for one thing only: to use their mobility to rush the cut points or to rush ambush positions in order to flank the enemies without them noticing. They are quite mobile, yes, but they have literally no armor, so don't expect to tank hits. But they compensate their lack of armor by being extremely fast, so your job is to use that to your advantage. In War Thunder, light tanks can spot or mark targets for their team to destroy. This is extremely useful, since marking a target that gets destroyed by your team grants you the same amount of points as if you destroy the target yourself. So you can literally farm points without even moving out of cover thanks to your binoculars. Usually, you'll want to play your light tanks on the flanks in order for you to get easy spottings or side shots on the enemy. Medium tanks. Medium tanks are the bread and butter of mechanized warfare. They have decent mobility, decent armor, even if not really reliable, and a very potent gun. They are the jack of all trades of the game. You can play on the flanks to get side shots or advantageous positions thanks to your mobility, or try to brawl in tight areas thanks to your armor and your decent reload speed. Think of the American M4 Sherman, the Russian T-34, or the German Panzervier. If you're in a top tier or down tier game, don't change your playstyle, since you're more than capable of dealing with the enemies you'll face. But if you're in a up tier, I'll suggest you to play as a light tank, so on the flanks if the mobility of your tank allows it. If not, it probably means that you have something elsewhere to balance it, like more armor or a good gun. For example, in an up tier, I'll suggest to play the Soviet T-34 as a light tank, since your mobility will be enough to flank 6.7 tanks you'll face. Heavy tanks. Heavy tanks, as their name implies, are the heavy hitters of the game. Powerful guns and tough armor, they are the big boys. To balance their firepower, however, they are quite slow. Your job as a heavy is to aggress the enemy, to absorb the shells for your team, to allow them to do their job properly. A cap is free, go cap it. An ally is under fire, draw the attention on you with your big cannon. You are the shield of your team, and it is your duty to protect them. Think of the Tiger II Königstiger, the Soviet IS-3 or the American T-34. You're big, you're mean, and you're very angry. On a side note, if you are playing in the down tier, don't hesitate to play as a medium, looking to brawl everywhere and picking every fight, as it is more than probable that your enemies will have quite a hard time dealing with you and your armor, while your powerful gun will obliterate them. SPGs, or TDs. SPGs are the special kids of the family that you don't know if you love or hate, but they're there. Their main selling point are their very powerful cannon for their tier, but for a massive counterpart, they don't have a turret and even sometimes no armor. Think of the Soviet ISU series or the German Jagd series like the Jagdpanther or the Jagdtiger. Your goal is to keep a zone safe, to prevent any enemy to enter your sanctuary, and to keep your flanks safe. You can play aggressively, of course, but remember that not having a turret is very crippling versus enemies that can shoot you in the blink of an eye without turning their whole hull. For this role, I recommend looking for a nice vantage point from which you can snipe, or set up an ambush where you know enemies will have to come in front of your gun. SPAAs. Well, they're pretty straightforward. Your job is to kill planes, so for God's sake, do your job. How many times did I die by an enemy plane right next to an SPAA just because he was scouting around for tanks? You chose to spawn and play an SPAA, so do your job. Yes, you have armor-piercing round, but it is only to defend yourself in case you met the wrong kind of foe. Pro tips though. Staying in the spawn can seem like a good idea, but not really. Enemy planes expect you to be in your spawn, so they'll try to hunt you down in it. Move a few dozen meters away from your spawn or even more to disturb them and have the element of surprise. I might do a full episode on SPAAs since it's quite a deep topic, who knows. MBTs. And here we are, la crème de la crème, MBTs. MBTs were designed to fulfill all roles above in a single vehicle. The speed of light tanks, the firepower of medium tanks, and the armor of heavies. At the BR of top tier, the previous tips applies to each and every single tank, since they are all capable of assuming each role, more or less good. For instance, the British MBTs are only designed to snipe from a hold-down position, since their engine is a bit lackluster. So in an MBT, feel free to flank, brawl, or do whatever you want. Only your skill and situational awareness will help you at this BR. And that's pretty much it. However, please be advised that in War Thunder, a tank's role is not necessarily dictated by its type. The American M18, for example, is a TD, but with the extreme speed of a light tank and absolutely no armor, so you should play like a light tank. Roles are merely but a guideline for you to know how a tank is supposed to be played, but it's up to you to choose whether or not you want to follow these lines. I personally always play on the flanks, with no regards to the tank type I play, just because that's how I like to play. Also guys, the next video will be quite dense, since I'll try to be as thorough as possible, so it might take a while. Spoiler, it will be on accuracy and how to shoot as best as you can, which is something I see a lot of people fail at. And that's it for today, guys. Today's video was not really dense and probably said a lot of things you already know, but since this series is mainly for newer players of War Thunder, I have to try to talk to the multitude. Anyway, I hope you liked this episode, and as for me, as always, I'll see you in the next one.